Hola amigos, hello everyone. My name is Billy Sheehan, bass player for the Winery Dogs. You're watching me right here on Loudwire.
Hey everyone, Gruhamed here from Loudwire with bass master Billy Sheehan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
We're going to play some Wikipedia fact or fiction.
Okay.
Went through your Wikipedia page,
I'm ready.
a lot of your bands. We're going to find out what's real, what's false.
Okay, okay.
All right, starting off. It says that your first electric bass was a Hagstrom FB.
True.
True, okay.
I have one like it, but not the original.
Not the original. How much did you pay for that first one?
$85.
85 bucks. That's I love those basses. They look like, it's like an old-timey radio with like a neck.
Yeah, they're the plastic
built
front on
into
them.
it.
They're real. And they're tiny
real.
too, the little tiny things.
Yeah, they're real vintage. They're awesome. All right, so that's true. It said after acquiring your first Fender Precision bass, you removed the frets from the Hagstrom.
I did.
You did?
I made a fretless out of it.
Were you trying to turn it into like a jazz?
Yeah, fretless wasn't really well known like it is now. It was pretty obscure at the time, and I had heard that you could do that. You actually take an iron, like a clothing iron, heat them up, and they pop right off.
You just did it yourself?
Yeah, and sand it down.
Well?
It was okay.
That's all right.
And I didn't really adapt to the fret. It was not my thing, so I don't know what happened to that poor bass. Lost in history.
All right. It says that your first full-time band was power trio Talus,
Yeah.
Which gained popularity but remained unsigned largely due to poor management.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The management got us in front of everybody. We showcased for Clive Davis and just about every big label ever. And we ended up touring with Van Halen, and we had John Kolodner on the side of the stage on a Van Halen show jumping up and down. This is the best live band in America. And we thought, hey, we're going to get signed. No, they didn't sign us, so we don't know what it was. But
bad management, you wouldn't consider that to be?
I'm sure it was a contributing factor, but our manager wasn't horrible.
All right, not horrible. So there you go, a bit of fiction in that one. It said you were briefly a member of Max Webster, but left after 3 weeks to play with David Lee Roth's solo band.
No, that's wrong.
Fiction, all right.
Fiction. Talus played in Toronto, and Kim Mitchell from Max Webster, was one of the first guys to see us. We were playing at the Larry's Hideaway. And one guy was like sitting in the middle of the room, almost nobody there. And it was Kim, I didn't know. And I didn't know him at the time. So we're playing, he gets up and runs out of the room. We're still playing. Next thing you know, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 people, he made a phone call and all these people came down to see the band. So I got to know him a little bit. So we had a little problem in Talus. I was out of the band for a little while, so sure enough, Kim got in touch with me, brought me up to Toronto. I played with them for about 3 weeks, doing pre-production on the Universal Juveniles record, I think. Maybe that record, I think. But then I went back to Talus, and I was with them for a long time. Then Talus made a change. We turned into 4-piece with them for a long time, right up until the summer of '85, and I got the call.
All right, you have a hell of a memory. I have to say, my memory is awful. I can't remember what I did yesterday.
I got a good memory, but it's short. We say that. So,
oh,
it's an old joke.
I can't remember back to 1985. I wasn't alive. It said that bringing, obviously, legendary guitarist Steve Vai into David Lee Roth's solo band was your idea.
Yes.
It was. True. That's a hell of an idea.
Well, he was the first guitar player Dave was looking at was Steve Stevens, but Steve wanted to stick with Billy Idol. Yeah. Rightfully so. He was hugely successful. But Stevens also a great guitar player. But I told Dave, I know another Steve. And it turns out Steve, I didn't get him the gig. Steve's talent got him the gig, but I suggested him. And it turned out to be really a perfect choice, in my humble opinion, because Steve, that element of Frank Zappa was the sense of humor. And that was a big part of the band.
Yeah, awesome. The Edom Smile record, it said the idea to re-record the album in Spanish was your idea because you had read an article which reported that over half the Mexican population was between the ages of 18 and 27, a prime record-buying market.
That's absolutely true.
That's absolutely true.
Everyone else took credit for it, though, but it was my idea.
It was your idea. How did that go? Was that
Well, that was pretty cool. It was just me and Dave in the studio, and we sang everything. I don't speak Spanish, but Dave can do rudimentary Spanish. He's pretty good at it.
Yeah, he did.
Living in LA, I started to pick it up. And so I just did it phonetically with him. So I remember, tímido, tímido, hasta luego. I think it's Shy Boy. I'm not sure exactly what I'm saying. Not everything translated exactly right. And plus, there was a concern that it's a very Catholic country, Mexico.
I think I read that it was changed
Yeah,
a
so
little bit.
they changed some bump and grind into, you know, have a good time or something.
All right. Soon after the Skyscraper record, it said that you left strictly due to musical differences.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. The band, when we first started, we were together in the basement of Dave's house, putting songs together as a band at a bunch, hanging out, drinking beers, having a great time. Skyscraper was put together in pieces, one guy at a time. You know, drums were done one day, and then a bass part, and it was really, the band really changed. And so it wasn't really my cup of tea, but you know, it was an experiment. I give Dave credit. He really tried to like mix dance and rock. If it would have worked, we would all still be hailing him as the genius of the century. But unfortunately it didn't, because the dance people hate the rock people. And the rock people hate the dance people.
I hate the dance people.
So that was a pretty tough negotiating thing to get those two things together. The wall between them made the Berlin Wall look like a picket fence. So it was, it didn't quite go. But you know, I give him credit for trying. He gave it a shot.
But you really needed that true band environment too.
Yeah, and then therefore when I started Mr. Big, we went right back to the same methodology we had for Edom Smile, together in a room working out parts and playing. So for me, that's the best way.
Cool. Mr. Big, it said that you had developed tension between yourself and the other members when you began touring with Steve Vai.
No, that wasn't it at all.
Fiction.
No, as a matter of fact, I remember we had a problem with our manager at the time because he came up to see our show in San Francisco when I was with Steve Vai. And I took him aside, and he said to me, you know, hey, everything all right? And he goes, sure, I'm still in Mr. Big. I'm not just helping Steve out. He goes, there's no problem at all. Then the manager went back to the band. He goes, I think we lost him.
Really? Oh, man.
Thanks a lot.
So there was real bad communication breakdown thanks to the manager.
Yeah, and this particular manager had you know, he was great for so many things, really responsible for the band's success. But he also had a little edge to him sometimes that caused a little problem. So.
Paranoid a little, or just?
I don't know.
Something a little just didn't connect.
We're all different people. I don't know.
Well, it said that that led to Mr. Big firing you, and then, but it said without yourself and Paul Gilbert in the band, Mr. Big's fan base shrank so much that Eric Martin and the others asked you to come rejoin.
No, there wasn't a chance for it to really shrink.
Okay.
They fired me, and then it was actually Richie Kotzen, who was in the band at the time.
Yep.
Said, "Hey, I got in the band because I wanted to Billy in the band too," and so Richie actually organized a little meeting where we got together and squared things off to do another tour, and then the band ended after that, and then we went on for a couple of years, and then finally Paul Gilbert decided to give us a call and go back to it.
Yeah, that one sounded wrong to me just reading it, so I'm glad. Clear that up. Up to the Winery Dogs.
Right on.
It said, although you played with Richie in Mr. Big, it was actually radio DJ Eddie Trunk's suggestion to bring him into the Winery Dogs.
Yeah, which I feel pretty stupid about it. It's going to slap your head moment. Was why didn't I think of Richie? Because we're thinking, we've got to find a guitar player that sings. And I know Richie, play with him, jam with him, hang with him all the time. So why it didn't come to mind, I don't know. But when Eddie Trunk suggested it, I thought, of course, Richie, perfect. So
of course.
I was certain it was going to be good from the get-go.
Yeah. All right, last one for you.
Okay.
It said you've been an active member of the Church of Scientology since 1971.
It's true.
Really? Yeah. So that's like age 18? Something. Age 18? You were about 18 when you...
Yeah, just around 18, yeah.
Okay. I was curious about what it was like being a Scientologist back then and what it's like now, because back then it wasn't really a talking point.
Yeah.
And now it's like universally like demonized by everyone who's not a Scientologist. So can you tell me about that experience?
Well, yeah, that's a very good point, because it is, I see it demonized a lot on the internet. But I do see also warring factions of every other kind of group of ideas. Like the left will demonize Sarah Palin.
Oh, yeah.
And she's stupid, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. She said she could see Russia out her window. She never said that.
That's Tina Fey, actually.
I actually read her book, and she seemed like she had it very together. And the right will demonize the left and say, you know, Hillary Clinton had a guy killed, and you know, so
Barack Obama was born in Kenya.
Exactly. So there's always this kind of thing there. So right now, due to the internet, those types of conflicts are very visible. But my only reason to get involved in Scientology was to improve myself and help other people. And I've managed to help a bunch of people. I've gotten about 20, maybe 30 people completely off any kind of drugs ever, and with the help that I got from that organization. And that's a good thing. And I'm open to be challenged and answer anything that people come to me with, any kind of criticism or anti-point of view. There was a protest on the street a few years back in Los Angeles, and I didn't tell anybody because I told them they probably would have said, don't go. I went by myself down to Office Depot, got a piece of styrofoam, wrote on, I'm a Scientologist and I'll answer any, and I stood out there with the protesters with the anonymous mask. And it was scary because just before that they had sent envelopes filled with white powder to the churches, and the LA County Sheriff's Department shut down the whole blocks. So I'm out there by myself, holding up the sign, and a lot of guys came up. Some guys came up, screamed, yelled at my face. At the end of it, a whole bunch of guys had taken their masks off, came up to me, shook my hands, going, I just want to thank you for being here, you know, for standing up, you know, for what you believe in. And then all the comments on YouTube, I saw a lot of people, what a fucking asshole, you hate him, stupid, but there was a lot of them who were just, you know what, at least he stood for something, because you got to stand for something or fall for anything. And I just wanted to make the point that I'm there. If you got a criticism, a critique, a disagreement, I'm happy to listen to it. And I got a lot of emails from people that had made a few points, and I answered them, and most of them were just pleased that I did. So generally, that thing like that, you get a little communication going, it doesn't hit as hard. And some of the real heavy anti-guys, or like the head of the anti-thing, I spoke with, you know, and they appreciated later that I did, because most people just shut them off. And I don't shut them off. I'm happy to hear what they have to say.
What kind of questions did you get asked on the street?
Well, they were mostly criticism of the organization and what it does and what it's doing. Like recently, they had just gone back and checked all the books to make sure they were absolutely accurate from what the original author wrote.
Dianetics?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there were a lot of mistakes. And they had all the original transcripts and all the original notes. And so they redid all the books. So some guy came up to me and said, it's not, they changed the books. It's not the same anymore. And I go, well, I got the old books. I got them. And I got the new books. And I looked at both of them to see what was changed. And there's a big list of everything they changed in all the books. There's no secret. And so I told the guy, I checked the old book with the new book, and yeah, the old book had this, like a paragraph was missing here. It was moved to another part of the page. It didn't make any sense. And so the guy was saying to me, bullshit, you never, well, you can, you know, I'm not on trial here, bro, but I'm telling you what I did. So if you want to ask me an intelligent question, I'll give you an answer. Cool, but you're just going to yell at me and it ain't going to do anybody any good. So, but it was quite a moment.
Yeah, sounds it. Thank you so much for sitting down with me
My
and
pleasure.
playing our game.
Thank you, bro.
Awesome.
Okay.
Billy Sheehan, everybody. Listen to all his music.